Hi, this is Mike, and this is part 2 in rendering in 3D. We're going to start from scratch here and look at a black screen and add an item that we know that will render, which is a 3D item. So that item is going to be a part plot, which is a 3D object that's created with a function, mathematical function. So we're going to go and select part plot in here, right here, part plot. And it defaults to just a random shape, and the random shape this time is preset ID number 3, which looks like a lifesaver. But we're going to do something tiny bit more interesting and look at a Hershey's Kiss, which is number 9. I know that already, so we're just going to do it. Punch in number 9, and we have the Hershey's Kiss here. Now, I've got it set up for you so you've already got the camera settings in. So we can have a look at it full size here, up close, and with that gradient on it. And we'll do a quick render here. That's this button right here, render image. And take a look at number 9, what Candy Kiss looks like, Hershey's Kiss, which is actually a math function, which I'll show you in just a second. Okay, the quick render is done. It'll be about 3 seconds. We'll see a good display. Get rid of that noise. And we have a nice, smooth, albeit dark render. We'd like it to be a little lighter, so we'll work on that. But right now I want to show you really quickly here what I'm talking about. The formula for the preset ID is when you click the gear next to X formula. There's X formula, Y formula, and Z formula. The formulas for all 3 dimensions. There's a mathematical function here that describes this surface. Basically, it's a 3-dimensional graph of what this mathematical function will do. And this is one of the 3. This is merely the X formula. There is also a Y formula and a Z formula. And you can find these all right here in this box. And this green arrow here will bring us down to where we can see all these different options here. So we've got the basic object up here, and now the next thing we're going to want to do is add some things to it. So we're going to add, basically in a nutshell, we're going to add a cubic 3D, because we know it's also 3D. And by doing, we select that once again right off this, when we add and select it off this menu here, we get the cubic 3D, and this is what it looks like before we do a quick render. So we'll do a quick render here again so we can see what it looks like and make sure it's still smooth, because we're doing 3D and we want it to be a smooth render. That's what we're looking for here as the function of this particular tutorial is a smooth 3-dimensional render. And how we go about that. Well, it cleaned up pretty nice. We have a nice little 3D render here. And we're going to take a look at a couple of things right now. One, to make sure that the preserved Z tab is pressed. It's darkened gray, which means it has been depressed. And then we're going to come down to, since we're on 3D, we're going to do 3D rendering and check the lights. And our light setup is, we've got a little more value here, as you can see right here. The light intensity is up over 0.8. It's now 1.1 and a change. And we've moved the azimuth over from -30 to, what does it say there? 131, I believe it says right in there. And that gives us the light in the front, so you can see that the light's shining right here on the front of the surface, and you get some nice highlights here, and we have the startup of a basic 3D render. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to maybe add another object, a 3D object. We're looking at only 3D objects, and I'll show you the next one where you can find it. No, actually the next thing we want to do is we're going to take out this big thing that's interpenetrating, a Hershey's Kiss, and have a lot of small ones, and we'll do that first. So now we have the Hershey's Kiss hidden. We've done that by taking the color command for that particular object and changing it from normal to hidden. And it hides the object, and you can no longer see it in the space here. But you can see the copies that are made with the Cubic 3D. So the Cubic 3D is what we're looking at right now. We see some speckles on here, and I'm just going to run a quick render once again just to let you all know that we really are getting rid of these speckles and having 3D renders. So it's coming up here, and in about 3 seconds we'll have the results of this quick render and have a quick look. There we go, it's all cleaned up. And so now we have two objects here. One is hidden and one is showing, as we see here. And we're going to add another object. We're going to put in probably a Julia just to mix it up. But we want a Julia 3D because once again we want a 3D variation. Now this time I'm going to show you where to find that. Once again, I've shown you in a previous video, but I'll show you once again. We're going to do another quick render here so we can show that it's smooth. Just follow the orange bar right up here as it moves along till it comes to right about here. And then once it reaches there, it'll give you a little warning and move on to the next step, which is displaying it, which will take about 3 or 4 seconds. And we'll have a look. Okay, now that we've done that, I'll just show you really quickly here what I'm talking about. On selecting an item, any one of these are called variations. Selecting one of them, you select the nonlinear tab, and on the right hand side there's it can be a blue dot or a black dot. It depends on your screen display which color that you're going to see here, but it has the white letter I in there, has your information based on all your variations. And we're going to look up the Julia 3D to make sure, the very name tells me that it is, but just to go through the steps here. And I want to move it all the way over to the left so that we can see the 3D column. And take it on up to Julia 3D, which is, yes, it is a 3D item, so we will be able to render it in 3D. Okay, I'm going to lower this since we no longer need this and go back to the program. Okay, we're back to the program now, and we've got an object here, and we're just going to do a test render, which I won't make you wait for, so I'm going to put it on pause while I do the test render. Test render is simply done by setting your quality. I want very high quality, all my renders. And we're going to click this button here to get the render started. And it's going to take some time, so I'm going to pause it while it renders, and we're going to show you the render when it's done. One of the things we have to do is we have to name it here. So 3D test is good enough for this one. And we'll save that as an image, and you can see the orange bar starting to move, so I'm going to put it on pause now. Okay, now we have our completed render item right up here. From this window here, we can see it's a nice clean render. And the items to mention here at this point is simply to let you know, well, you want to pick all 3D variations when you're rendering in 3D, and you want it to be 3D. If you want it to be clean, you're going to have clean items to be able to render. If you have something that's not renderable in 3D, it's likely to create dust. One. Number two, dark surfaces also create dust, and interpenetrating surfaces create dust. We hid the one object that was interpenetrating so that we'd have a clean, clear render of what was left, which was a duplication of the main object, which once again looks like, I'll show you that one right now. We'll lower this since we got this one all done. Notice that this object now interpenetrates all these other objects, and you're blocking some of the objects that you wanted rendered. So this is with the object unhidden. We hid it up here. Once again, I'll go over that real quick. We pick the color tab. We go to where it says normal, and on the bottom of the menu it says hidden. You click on hidden, and that particular piece, as you saw, goes away. So those are the basic steps to getting a clean, clear 3D render. Do one more quick render here before we go and talk for a minute while that's doing that. So basically, in a nutshell, to wrap up, we selected objects that were 3D to begin with. We checked them out by coming over to the side here to where the transformations are, clicking on nonlinear, and selecting the information box, going to the Excel page that shows you all the variations, making sure it's in the 3D column, and that's the ones that you want to use when you want to render in 3D. This is Mike. Thank you very much.